talk a little bit about your new assistant, kind of the process that went into hiring him, and what you like about Corey Lewis.
Yeah, man, really excited about Corey. I like to say that if you want to judge me by the company that I keep. Sometimes that can get me in trouble, but I'm very excited about Corey. He was a great student athlete, such a great athlete that he got drafted both the Chicago Bulls and the Kansas City Chiefs. And he played alongside Michael Jordan, carried his bags for a couple of years with the Bulls, got himself a ring. Played with one of my former players at Iowa, B.J. Armstrong. And just the people he worked for. When you got Eddie Sutton and Leonard Hamilton and Bill Self and that family tree on your resume, it speaks volumes. And he's a better person. So very excited about him and his family. And his family and his wife's family are from Macon, Georgia. So this is an opportunity for him to come a little closer to home. So it just checks a lot of boxes for us.
Brian, I guess it's for BP and you. Atlanta's been especially for you, a big target for basketball recruits. How big has this been to get fans and people involved with the Atlanta area? Maybe you go first.
Atlanta's huge to us football-wise, for sure. We've got to, I think, build the majority of our team from, the states of Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, and obviously within Atlanta area, there's so many SEC caliber players that we've got to win our share of battles here. So anytime we can get here and continue to enhance or build new relationships with the Auburn family that is going to be the ones that carry the War Eagle banner around town, I think it's always a very positive step. So I'm anxious to meet some of those people tonight.
Chris Burke?
Yeah, Birmingham is I think as a city that's got the most students in Alabama at Auburn, and then Atlanta's next. So we got a ton of alums and students that go to Auburn. And like Coach said, just from a recruiting standpoint, this has been unbelievable for us. They play great basketball here, and we've had 6 players from Atlanta drafted in the last 6 years, I think. Somebody checked me and said that's exact, but 6 and 6 is pretty good. And so, if you do a good job with them, you keep coming back. And then, we play over here a couple times a year. We play over in Athens, which is important. And as people that follow Auburn basketball know, it's really hard to get a ticket at Neville Arena. And so there's opportunities to get tickets in Athens, and we've had great crowds there. And we've also, the last couple of years, played in Atlanta in a very special Hoops Giving Holiday Festival. We played Memphis last year, and we've got a great opponent coming in this year. I don't know if it's been announced yet, but got a great opponent coming in again in a December game down at the arena the Hawks play in. So it's great to be here to thank our fans for all their support.
Question for all three. Hopefully you're all doing well today and your travels were safe. There are reports about the SEC considering finding schools going beyond and taking home games away for fans rushing to field or court. What is y'all's take on all that?
God, I was enjoying just listening to you.
I could have waited a little later.
Hey, listen, we don't want to take away, nobody wants to take away the fun from the fans, but there's a safety element here that's very important. I think we all recognize that. And both of these guys have probably been involved in situations where they've been in areas where the court or the field was stormed. Safety's got to be the most important thing. So I think there's got to be a way to preserve the fun for the fans and create that environment that makes the Southeastern Conference so special, but also provide safety for everybody involved. And I feel really confident we can get there.
I hope we have some games that we win soon that people want to start the field. But I hope we
But we're
abide
not
by
going to.
whatever. Yeah,
We're gonna win.
Yeah, I hope we have some that it feels like you would want to do that forward, but that we would abide by whatever the administration and SEC decides is the safest manner to celebrate.
Bruce, you've been in a couple situations.
Yeah, well, but after one or two of those wins, I'm just gonna lead everybody down to Toomer's corner. And let's just
There you
throw
go.
toilet paper, and that's what we'll do when we win.
Far right. Bruce, we've seen the announcements from Jalen and Janai. Do you have any update, or can you give us one on Allen, or anything with him? We haven't seen anything or heard from him.
Well, I think you've seen Wendell and Janai, Dylan, and Jalen all declare, make themselves eligible for the draft, which then allows them to go work out, eligible to be invited to Chicago for the combine if that happens, and that's usually a very strong indicator about whether or not you have a good chance to be drafted. That'll come up in the combine's the 14th, the NBA combine's the 14th. A few days before that's the G League combine, so that's about the time you'll start to figure out whether you're going to get invited to that, to know whether you're going to be drafted. And then in Al's case, he's already declared twice, and so you can't declare a third time. If you do, you have to stay in the draft. So there's no reason for him to declare anything. Hopefully, Al will graduate, and then after his graduation, we'll weigh all of his options. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
Nathan, your call?
Yeah, Bruce, I guess with Wes, he's obviously was on your staff for a few years. What was that process like when you guys were having that conversation about him leaving, and I guess what did he bring to your staff when he was there?
Say it again now.
Wes Flanagan.
What about it?
What did he bring to your staff for those few years with you guys, and what was that conversation like with him wanting to move on to another opportunity?
Well, I just think everybody's got to do what's best for themselves and what's best for their families, and we appreciated Wes's time at Auburn.
Advice.
Bruce, with everything changing, like, you could potentially lose up to 6 guys off your team in 1 year. How do you deal with those changes so quickly in today's landscape?
Yeah, so it's obviously the landscape has changed just tremendously, but it's the same for everybody. So we're all in the same boat. On the one end, we have 4 or 5 guys that could look to play professionally on that end, and they've got, on average about 3.5 per team per year entering the transfer portal nationally. So 4 or 5 and 3 or 4, and that's 7 or 8. I got 13 guys on scholarship, so that's what pretty much everybody is sort of dealing with. It forces us to have to continue to work really hard in the months of April and May to, not only work with your players and help them, finish up their spring conditioning and basketball and academics, and then figure out what they're trying to do, as well as then recruit to replace guys that you really didn't think you were going to have to replace and didn't want to replace. There wasn't any of those guys really that I would have preferred to, look. But the transfer thing swings both ways, and so Auburn is an incredibly special place, and we've worked really hard to establish ourselves as a competitive basketball program, and so we're just going to bring in really good guys that we think can help us continue to be competitive. It just forces us to work a little differently. The Final Four team was built on freshmen, sophomores, juniors, all growing up and all going together, and I still would prefer to do it that way, but that's just not the way. Last thing I'll say is we've had 5 transfers in the transfer portal since the portal was open. Okay, 3 of them were all conference players. 1 was the National Player of the Year. So we had Walker, we had Janai and Wendell, and the other 2 was Zepp and KD. All 5 had really good experiences and great careers at Auburn. So it works. It's worked very well for us.
Bruce, since this first time we've talked to you since Denver Jones and what you got in Cheney Johnson, just those two guys, what made y'all want to get them, and how excited are you to have them?
Just, they both share something in common. They're Alabama kids that were both overlooked, and have both got chips on their shoulders. They're both hungry. They both dreamed of someday being in a place like Auburn, and now it's a reality for them. And I'm just so excited about coaching guys who are going to be in the gym every night, that are grateful for the scholarship and for the opportunity. I mean, look, Denver's from the same league as Florida Atlantic, and he was the leading scorer in that league, and that, that's a really good league. Conference USA with Andy Kennedy at UAB, and North Texas and Florida Atlantic and Florida International. And then the story with Cheney's just incredible. I mean, he's out of Thompson High School, right there in Alabaster. He's 6'2" as a senior. He's a good basketball player, but John Schulman gives him a shot at Division II. He grows 5 inches. All of a sudden, he's 6'7". And now he's pretty good, really athletic, and has always been overlooked. We got a few guys in our roster that have been overlooked.
Go right on down the line. We got two in a row.
He took my question, actually.
Okay, Tom?
Bruce, just a quick follow-up on Cheney. Just how do you see him fitting into your system positionally?
Yeah, I think he'll compete at the 3 and the 4. He's big enough to be able to play a little bit of an undersized 4. He's got real skill. He's got real athleticism. Look, he played against us last year when we played them, and he played our format even. And and then I think he's quick enough, and he's got enough skill that he can play some on the wing. So he'll play.
And then obviously still have a few scholarships available. Just how many more guys would you like to bring in with this?
We're probably going to bring in at least 1, maybe 2 more. But I would once again be surprised if we utilize all 13 scholarships. Wouldn't be surprised if at least one of our walk-ons goes on scholarship this year.
Brian Stoltz?
Yeah, John, how, what's the word I'm looking for? Ecstatic were you that Auburn took 2 out of 3 from Mississippi State on this weekend?
Yeah, it's tough when you spend as much time as I did in Mississippi State. I have a ton of respect for those guys. That'll always be part of, my DNA, if you will. But yeah, I thought our baseball team, they're down 7 on Sunday, and they come back and win a series in dramatic fashion. And I was thinking back not just to my playing and coaching career, but I'm not sure I've ever seen a player hit both foul poles in one game. That was pretty remarkable.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. But yeah, I mean this isn't what you asked me, but you look at the landscape of this whole league right now. You're talking about 12 teams inside that 30 RPI mark. I mean it's pretty dramatic. So we're gonna have a lot of fun a month from now when we go into a room in Indianapolis and talk about an NCAA field.
Well, I guess for Hugh and for John, there's a proposed rule where on first downs the clock won't stop anymore. What are you guys' take on that?
Things like that just are out of our control. We say what our feelings are when we're in those head coaching meetings, and then it goes to the people that are in charge of the new rules for our game. I think we have a great game, but we're always looking for ways to make sure that the product is good for the people that are buying the tickets, and the games do get a little long with the timeouts, and I think that's just a way, and I truthfully don't see that impacting the game in a large way. So that's just my personal view on it. Others may feel different, but if it makes the experience better for the people that are paying for the tickets and the suites and the ones that we need to support our program to help us build it, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I feel like like Hugh does. You know, when you make a decision like that, you have to have a ton of data, and I know that the oversight committee for football has that information. I personally, like, this is a feel thing, not a data-driven thing, but my goodness, you only play 7 home football games, and I mean, I don't think the length of games are necessarily out of control. I mean, it's a pageantry. It's a homecoming almost every time you play a home football game. But I also understand that there's a lot of data that we don't have the ability to look at. Also, there's 2 products. There's the product in person and there's product on television. And when you watch on television, anything that makes that product better really helps all of our programs in so many different ways. It's viewed by the masses, so they'll make the right decision.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to see it go much further than that. I think we have a great product, and and I hope it I hope they do this if that's what they see as best, and then we kind of just let's go play the games.
Does it change your game planning or anything?
No. I mean, we're still, whether the clock starts or done on the first down, we're still gonna go fast if we wanna go fast. It doesn't change the rules of the game. So I don't see it changing our strategy at all.
Brian?
For you first, the spring transfer portal, has it been a little bit slower than you expected as far as kids getting into it?
Really has.
And do you still see an opportunity though for you to help yourself, or Auburn help itself here possibly?
Yeah, it's we really weren't sure what to expect, and I do think it's been quite a bit slower than I'm not sure that's a bad thing. I just the and I'm not, of course we have the SEC agreement that we don't go SEC to SEC in this portal, and so I haven't really kept up with the number of kids that would have been of interest to for us. But outside of that, it's been quite a bit slower than probably what we anticipated. But there's still, look like it picked up a little bit today, maybe the last couple days, and be curious to see what the rest of the week brings. But I think it's well documented that we're always trying to improve our roster, and so we're constantly monitoring it.
Just get a follow-up?
Yeah, for John, I know the SEC meetings are coming up soon. Do you feel like you guys have got a sort of consensus on the plan for the permanent opponents, and whether it's 8 or 9 games, or is there just gonna be a free-for-all when y'all get to that?
Well, what I do know is we've got to make that decision, because obviously it's about the 24 season, and a lot has to happen quickly. I see benefits to both sides of that issue with the 8 and 9 game schedule. And I think a lot of the athletic directors feel the same way. There's merit in both ways, both options. So, our league is always, through Greg Sankey, has always done a great job guiding us, not only the athletic directors, but the presidents as well, and the chancellors. So we will make the best decision for the Southeastern Conference collectively, and I look forward to discussing that in the room.
Got time for a few more. Yeah. Justin?
You talked about the transfer portal in the spring. You obviously go in some hopes or maybe some needs, and then you don't know how exactly it's going to play out once it opens. Do you change as you go in terms of wanting to hit those numbers, or do you go in and saying we need a fit, so if we don't hit the number, so be it?
Well, you just stumbled on the biggest challenge all of us sitting in these seats have. I don't know that basketball would be any different, but figuring out the 85 in this new world is very, very challenging, very, very difficult, and it also promotes some difficult conversations at times. And you do, as John said, from the SEC perspective, I think you sit here and you do what's best for Auburn, and that's not always enjoyable by all, but it's tough to manage the 85, and we go into the spring portal saying, here's the ideal plan. we sign this number at this position and this number at this position, and this is how we get to the 85 by doing that. But all of that is subjective to everything going exactly your way, and players going into the portal that you think improve you. And when that doesn't happen, you hope that your plan B is still able to be successful. So it's a challenge.
Advice.
Two things. With the portal, is it different with the fact that like schools are still playing their spring games? And then for Hugh and John, you guys are both doing your first Auburn ambush. Just kind of walk me through what that's like and hanging out with BP.
I'll let John. Hanging out with VP is always a joy. Let's start there. I mean, it doesn't get much better than hanging out with Bruce Pearl. So
Until we get him the golf course, and he's going to give me a few more strokes. He's going to want to.
Yeah, he dropped a Hayden Fry story on us earlier, so
Yeah.
it doesn't get any better than that, right?
He's in the barn, time to eat.
Did Coach Fry ever not wear sunglasses? Ever?
No, cowboy boots and sunglasses.
Sunglasses.
Yeah.
All the time.
I forgot your first question.
Oh,
I don't
about,
even
Great job avoiding it.
about that, about the portal. Like, I mean, schools are playing the spring games. Like, is that impacting, the availability of what's going on?
Well, I don't know. I think that depends on the kid and the discussions he's having with his coaching staff. I'm not even sure who's left to play their spring games, but obviously the portal's going to close on this Sunday, except for graduates. They can enter anytime they want. I guess there's probably still some more spring games to be played, but I would think most are completed by now, and those discussions are being had by their players and their coaching staffs as we speak, I'm sure.
And then overall, just you guys adjusting to Auburn, your adjustment in particular, just getting used to it. How's that been?
Adjustments in these moves are always challenging when you have families and staff families, and the hiring and letting go of people, and all of that is challenging, and I'm glad that all of that is kind of in my rear view mirror, and we can now go to work, and it's sometimes daunting when you wake up at 2 a.m. and you're thinking, gosh almighty, we got so much to do, and you want to get it done so fast for the program and for the people that believed in you to hire you and trust in you, and all of that weighs on you when you really care and you want to get it done. But the transition to a place like Auburn is, man, who wouldn't want to live there? It's a great place to live, and I'm blessed to have my family there, so that's incredible also. So our transition now that everybody's settled it's go time, and it's a lot of work to do, but it's a great place to do it at.
John?
Yeah, just to echo the same things. I mean, I think it'll be 6 months here coming up next week, and it's just been a tremendous experience. It's everything I thought it would be and more. And yeah, I've said this many times, and I mean, I'm not just saying this. I came to Auburn because I wanted to work with people like this. I wanted to work with people like that, and the opportunity to work with people like this guy. So it is a special place, and when you're on the outside viewing Auburn as an outsider, and then you get to the inside, you realize it is everything that you've heard. When I first moved to Auburn, I'd seen the survey, or the thing that said that Auburn students are the happiest students in the country. I'm like, come on, that's crap. That's just made up lies, damn lies, and statistics. And then I walk on campus, every single day with my dogs, and I go, wow, these kids are happy. I mean, it's a happy place with a great vibe. People are so welcoming. I can't imagine living anywhere else.
All right, John, thank you for your time.